right, here we go. Please listen. Tomorrow you have vocab 21 through 30. You have a lecture and your maps apparently do. Thursday you have a test. Oh, I was coming to get it. Thank you. Thursday you have a test. It's 28 minutes, which really is not that fast. You saw how quickly you did it for 30, yes?
Yes.
So none of you should really be panicking. And then you have a focus and a spice due on Thursday. Don't give them a class. Thank you. So everyone's clear on the rest of the week, yes? We have a ton of content to get to. Let's get to it. So who can tell me where we left off yesterday, Vance?
Not preliminary for the next class.
Okay, so when we're talking about our working class, okay, we have industrial working class, we have the proletariat, we have blue-collar workers, and we also have what? Did we get that far? The what? No, bourgeoisie is the wealthy people. Maggie? Middle class is what we call it today. So those are your 4 terms for this new class that was created. You need to know industrial. Oh, it would be nice if you could see what I have up here. You need to see that it's the industrial middle class, the urban proletariat. You need to know blue-collar workers, and today we call them the middle class. So they're all the same. All 4 of those things mean the same thing. These are people who go, clock in, put their time in, clock out, and then leave. They have no extra work outside of it because all the work is happening inside. Do I go home, do I clock in and then clock out and have nothing to do outside of work? No, that is completely not the case. Okay, your white-collar workers typically have outside work, while blue-collar workers never have outside work. So that's one of the pro cons. Okay. One thing, everyone on their notes needs to write down the 3 stages of industrialization. They are written right here on my board. So the 3 stages of industrialization refer to every country in the world. Pre-industrialization means people are not industrialized. Then we have industrialized. Keep in mind, there are still countries today in 2019 that have not industrialized at all. Places like Kenya, Botswana, Ethiopia, Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, yes, that is a real place. Other places like that. Your second stage is social and economic reforms. So after industrialization has occurred, okay, they clean up the environmental and cultural side effects of industrialization. An example of this would be child labor. Here in the United States, child labor was legal until like the 1850s, I think, 53, I think it was abolished, which means it was perfectly fine for people to do up until it's illegal. Other things that are other social or economic reforms, people used to live in one-room buildings in New York City called tenants, and you would have like 15, 16 people living in one room. Is that legal today? No, absolutely not. Pollution is obviously a huge side effect. Sanitation workers, that's a huge social reform. All those different types of things are social and economic reforms. And then you have the third stage, which is when computer evolution. Hiring less people because computers are cheaper. What stage is the United States in? We're in stage 3. Okay. China's in what stage? 2. China's definitely in 2. England's in 3. Okay. India is where? No, they're in the industrialized phase. They haven't started really reforms yet because they didn't really start industrializing until the 1980s. Same thing with China. South Korea is going to be in the transition between the industrializing and the social and economic reforms. There you go. So, hiring less people.
What about like North Korea?
North Korea, they haven't industrialized.
It's really like 0. Yeah, but they have like technology.
They do. Every country has technology. You go to Botswana and Sudan and all these other places in Africa, they have technology because they make it. Do they have factories that are mass producing? Or do they rely on other countries? Now, Africa is a very strange place because of this. Africa has only one country that's fully industrialized, and that is South Africa. They can mass produce anything they need for themselves. Other places in Africa have become dependent on their colonizers, or now Western countries, in order to fulfill the basic needs of their people.
Like the mango people. The mango people. When they were like growing mangoes for other places, so they they didn't have like food for themselves because they were training, and then they became like reliant. Cause like,
Okay, here we go. So, the Industrial Revolution begins. That's your new heading. The Industrial Revolution begins in Great Britain. Who can raise their hand and tell me why Great Britain is the lucky first? Maggie. They have coal and iron ore. They also have rivers and canals, which is also helpful. Now, a huge thing. So it's going to start in England. You need to put a big star. The second agricultural revolution begins just before the Industrial Revolution. The second agricultural revolution begins just before the Industrial Revolution, which creates a food surplus and a people surplus, a population boom. So all those people that are now born, do they have someplace to work in the Industrial Revolution? Yes. So without having the second agricultural revolution occur, it would not have allowed the Industrial Revolution to occur. So they are important. Now, going back to England. England also has colonies. We're going to put a big star next to it because this is going to be a huge deal in 2 weeks. England has colonies. What are the 2 reasons why colonies are a big, important deal? So much so that places that don't have colonies are going to get colonies. Why? Katie?
natural resources.
They need to import raw materials. Yes, all the natural resources. So, colonies are a big deal because they need to import all of the raw materials. What's the other major reason why they need it? Vance?
For like political.
No, they're going to get to that later. They'll enjoy that part, but they need it for something else. Jesse? No, they're not going to import, like, people from other places to work in England. They got plenty of people. Claire? No. Oh, they need colonies for 2 reasons. Ben?
Do they like need more people to tax?
No, they're fine on taxes. They're making lots of money. Guys, we're importing raw materials from these colonies. So all of a sudden, we have like 10,000 pots sitting in a factory. Why do we need the colonies, Jackson?
That's good. They're like
Yes! We're going to sell all those 10,000 pots we just made to the colonies. Now think about it. This is kind of strange. England is going to import India's cotton to England. They're going to make it into like textiles. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to sell it back to who? The Indians. And they're going to jack up the price, of course, and they're going to forbid any Indians from making fabric. So guess where you have to buy it from? Even though it was grown 2 doors down. It's a beautiful system. If you're in charge, it's a great system. Alright, so you do need to know that the English also have a river and canal system, which makes movement of goods easy. Anyone here ever been to like the north side of London? If you go up there, I saw it this year. I'm going to the London once, but I got to see it and saw the canals and stuff and all the waterways. They're like little levee systems. So like you can row your boats and like boats all through northern Europe, northern England because there's a levee system and there's locks and stuff, so you go up and down based on it. It's really, really cool. Anyway, okay, here we go. It's new technology. This page is going to be annoying, but you need to know it's all over your test. Here we go. New technology. You need to know there's something called the flying shuttle, and it was created by John Kay. Flying shuttle. Read the damn thing.
Sorry.
Okay, so anyone here ever seen fabric being made, like textiles being made? Oh God, what the hell do you people do on your field trips? When you were like in elementary school?
4th grade.
Oh my God. Anyway, okay, so how do you make fabric? You people need like a plum plantation or some shit like that. Come on.
I remember what I did yesterday.
Sturbridge Village, come on now. Alright, here we go. So how it goes is that when you make a textile, so when the world ends, you're going to be like, thank God Bennett taught me this. You have strings going up and strings going down, okay? When you hit a little pad that switches position. So it goes up and down based on the pattern. That is how you get the fabric. Remember, fabrics are woven, yes? Across it, you push thread. So once you push the thread through, you switch your feet, and it goes from up to down, right? Because then it's packed it all in, and then you pack it, and then you slide it over again, and then you pack it, and then you close it, switch again, and that's how you alternate, yes? Have we heard of these things before?
Like the big weaving machine?
Well, now we have big weaving machines, but you people used to make fabric at home in our homespun types of things. The flying shuttle is going to speed up that weaving thing instead of having to push it. Now think about it. If I'm running a machine, can I have it be 6 feet long? No, because I can't get the damn shuttle that far, and it's going to take too long to like reach all the way through and pull it through, so I had to do short things. Now with the flying shuttle, weaving is faster. You're going to write that down. Weaving is faster. What? No. I will tell you when you need to know a date. Okay? Now the mule, which is created by Samuel Compton, which you do need to know, makes thread faster. Now, how did we make thread? Come on, there's a stupid fairy tale about it. Vendela. It's not straw, sweetie. We don't use.
Hey,
That's Rumpelstiltskin. That's his gold, I think.
yeah, he makes the
How do we do it, Katie?
on the center.
Yeah, so there's a big wheel, and it's a chick because it's woman's work. And you sit there and you pump the wheel, and you have like a huge thing of wool, and it just pulls it through and stretches it out. And then you at the end are stretching out and twirling it, stretching it out and twirling it. Yes. Remember these things, okay? What the mule does is just does that faster, much faster, mechanized. That's all. And then you have the power loom, which was done by Edmund Cartwright. And instead of me doing that whole process of me packing and then switching and then sliding, they were doing it on a machine that's doing it at like 100 feet wide. That's like your modern machines. I guess they were doing it like 40 feet wide. You can make textiles 40 feet wide. Is that important? Does that make things faster? Yes. So the power loom is going to make textiles much faster on a much larger scale. Now, I'm from Boston. Just north of Boston is a city called Lowell. Lowell, Massachusetts is the heart of the Industrial Revolution here in the United States. So all of this crap, we lived. All right, so steam power. You do need to know the steam engine is invented by James Watt. Why do we need steam engines? Who can raise your hand and tell me? Garrett.
Train.
What? Trains? Fine. But why do we really need them, Avery?
To move goods.
Not a train.
And
Jesse.
Ship.
Guys, why do we need steam engines? Steam engines. Yes, they actually move the machines, people. They're the ones actually turning the turbines that make the machines go. Okay, you do need to know, and you're going to put a big star, steam engines are used for the machines and factories. They burn what? Coal. And they need to be along what? Vents.
no, sorry.
Okay, water. What type of water? Fresh water, yeah. Can't be near salt water because salt water is going to corrode the machine. Okay? So, steam engines. They're coal powered, but they require water because they're steam engines. They burn water. They have to be located near freshwater rivers. Now, these rivers have to be moving at a quick pace because it has to get into the factories. If it's a slow-moving river, it's not going to work that well. Hence why, in the American South, are there many factories? No. Now in 2019, are there more factories down here? Yes. However, in the industrial times, are there many factories? No. Not at all. Okay? Because they needed rivers, fast-moving rivers. Rivers come off mountains. How many mountains are in the South? Not many. What?
Wait, was steam engine that giant wheel that are?
No, it's a water wheel. What?
Is that why the South is more agricultural?
Yes, because they didn't have the industrial foundation for it. And there's not much coal and iron ore down here.
So
What?
are these things huge or are they portable?
No, they're huge. How many portable engines do you think are kicking in 1800s? Okay, here we go. Other important inventions, so same heading. You need to know of the Bessemer converter. The Bessemer converter is created by Henry Bessemer. This makes steel cheaper, faster. However, there's another man who really makes it famous. It makes steel cheaper and faster. Okay, beforehand, keep in mind, steel used to be so valuable, it used to be worn as like jewelry. Because that's how precious it was. Then the Bessemer converter comes around and can make steel really cheaply. So guess what now is everywhere? Like the desks you're sitting in are made out of steel. So how valuable is it? Not valuable at all. Hello, public education uses it. With that being said, you need to know that a guy named Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie, yes. The Carnegie.
Melody.
Yes. It's an investment portfolio based off this guy. Andrew Carnegie is going to take the Bessemer converter and make it into U.S. steel and become the largest producer of steel in the world. Also becomes the first billionaire. No? You don't know Carnegie? Figure it out. Andrew Carnegie creates U.S. Steel. Is going to be the first billionaire in the world because he makes steel cheaper. Where does he build the largest steel producer in the world? What's U.S. city? AC? Pittsburgh. They're called the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's no animal called Steelers, people. They're Steelers because that is the capital. That's where Carnegie. I have no idea. I hate the Pittsburgh
Don't they
Steelers.
have like little diamonds?
Hi, we can actually talk about things or we can just bullshit. Jesse, stop talking. Here we go. So you need to know Andrew Carnegie and the Henry Bessemer. Now, you do need to know the rocket. You do need to know what year it was. Is the first railroad, and that's 1829. The first railroad is built in 1829. Just so you know, by the 1830s to 1870, 13,000 miles worth of railroad lines are going to be laid. So, railroads are going to transform Western civilization. Why do we need railroads? You need to have this down. Why do we need railroads? We put it on our map. You know that god-awful map? Why, Jackson? Okay, to move all the raw materials, right? And then to move the manufactured materials. So we need it for both the raw materials and the manufactured goods. Do we really care about moving people? No, there's no real money in moving people yet. People aren't really tourists yet. People aren't really going exploring. Okay. You do need to know of a thing called the factory system. Okay, so the factory system is when we build structures to house massive machines. So can we do this from our homes? Which is the traditional way we used to make these things. So now we have to go somewhere and do it. This is the introduction of clock-in machines. You have to clock in and clock out, yes? That idea of having a time you're supposed to be at work, all of those things start now. The idea of having a work week is also the factory system. Before then, there was no such thing as a weekend until the 1860s. There was no such thing as a weekend because the work never ended. Because you were at home, you would just take naps during the day or do whatever you kind of wanted because you were kind of living your own schedule. You need to know that the factory system uses cheap, unskilled labor. Uses cheap, unskilled labor. Just like in our Apple factories over in China. Do you think those Chinese employees are really brilliant who know how to put an Apple phone together? Or do you think they have one small job in this massive system? One small job in this massive system. So you don't have to be particularly bright. You just need to say, I need to put this here. I need to put this here. And then you practice it 1,000,000 times a day. How terrible. Working conditions in this factory system are going to be awful. Okay? There are 6 days a week, 14 hours a day was the usual. You do need to know Ludettes, which are right here. The Luddites are anti-machinery. They are anti-machine. They believed machines were taking jobs away from humans. Were they right?
Yes.
Yes. They'd be absolutely horrified in 2019, don't you think? Can you imagine work, like looking at Ford today? On the typical line, there's only like 15 employees on the Ford assembly line. They used to have like 300 people per line. So I mean, that's crazy. Alright, you do need to know Luddites. Eventually it does kind of die out, mostly because the British came. Alright, to the boards, here we go. On your whiteboard, please tell me who's the guy who created a process to make steel faster, cheaper, and more affordable. What's the name of the dude who came up with a cheaper, faster way to make steel? What is it? Avery? Bessemer. On your whiteboard, please tell me what's the name of the dude who takes the Bessemer converter and makes the largest steel producer in the world. Do you see a difference?
Yeah.
What is it, Kellen? Carnegie. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is it called when people clock in for work? They have 6 days a week, 14-hour days. What do we call that? What do we call that, Shabani? Factory system. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what are the names of the people who believe machines were taking away jobs from people? And they are going to beat the hell out of machines and smash them. What do we got? Vance? Luddites. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the first railroad? Good. What is it, Bella? The rocket. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what's the name of the dude? Oh, what year is the rocket made? What year, Claire? 1829. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the dude who created the first steam engine? What is it? Logan? On your whiteboard, steam engines required what two natural resources? Good. What is it? Kate? Coal and fresh water. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the technology created by John Kay that is going to speed up weaving by making the thread go faster? Good. What is it? Avery? Flying shuttle. On your whiteboard, what is going to make textiles much faster? And also like 40 feet wide, which is pretty crazy. Even though today there's factories that can make them like 80, 100 feet wide. Shabani? Power loom. What is going to make thread faster? What is it, Bella? The mule. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the two natural resources that England has plenty of that is going to allow them to become the industrial leader? I have a ton of wrong answers. What is it? Macy?
Iron ore and coal.
Iron ore and coal. Ladies and gentlemen, if you say they have lots of iron on the AP exam, it's wrong. Iron is a finished product. You have to burn it, you have to heat it up, and you have to hit off all the impurities. You have to heat it up that high. That's how you get iron. So if you write iron, it does not score. It's iron ore and coal, which is what is naturally found in the ground. All right, here we go. Okay, you need to know that the 4 European countries to industrialize are England, Germany, Belgium, France. Your 4 industrialized countries. We're not calling anyone powers yet, because Belgium is never going to be. There are 4. Under Germany, I would write Otto von Bismarck or next to it, because Otto von Bismarck is going to be the dude that champions it. Napoleon is going to be the dude who champions the French. How does he do it? He is going to abolish internal trade barriers and dismantle guilds. What's a guild? We talked about in period 4. Fancy.
Is it like a covering or something? Like a, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a club. All of like the artisans get together and they form a guild, which means they regulate. We talked about it with our beginning of cities popping up in the Middle Ages. They create guilds, and that they would not allow more than one cobbler, more than one winemaker, to make sure those winemakers and cobblers have plenty of business, right? That's a guild. If the population grew significantly, then they would allow another cobbler in, but it would have to be voted in by the group. What? Okay. Okay. So you do need to know that your next heading is going to be U.S. industrialization. Just listen, you don't have to write anything except U.S. industrialization. Now, in the 1820s, New England is going to start with the cotton industry. Like I said, I'm from Boston. Lowell, Massachusetts is the start of industrialization. Why is it Lowell, Massachusetts? They have 6 rivers that flood through Lowell. So, because all these factories with their steam engines need both rushing fresh water and coal, they're built mostly in Lowell, Massachusetts. 1870s, we're going to start having our Andrew Carnegie's. He's going to do U.S. Steel, and we're going to start building up into this. Now, you need to know, and you're going to put a huge star on this, because Eli Whitney, he creates the cotton gin. Eli Whitney's cotton gin is going to transform the United States in 2 different ways. In an economic way, and then in a social way. Economically, he is going to make a very inexpensive, very pain-in-the-butt product turn into something incredibly wealthy and the most high-demand item and one of the most expensive, one of the most valued items in the world. Yeah. Well, no, he invented cotton gin, which makes cotton valuable. Okay, before, anyone here ever seen cotton, like a dried cotton? Okay, so what happens is you plant the field, okay, the cotton grows, and then you let it die. Like, you don't harvest it when it's green, you harvest it when it's, like, snarly, brown, okay? So if you've ever tried harvesting cotton, which I have because I'm fascinated by it, because my husband's family's all in Virginia, and, like, it's covered in cotton, and, like, I'm trying to, like, get there in the right time where I can cut off, like, a sprig of cotton and, like, show you what it looks like, because the way they harvest it. Anyway, you don't care, but I'm really trying. It's a goal of mine. Anyway. When it dries, the plant gets really, really sharp and really, really brittle. There's like it holds onto it, and there's little pricks to it. So the first like 15,000 times you pick cotton, you're going to bleed because you're going to get stabbed by the actual plant. The little poof of it, no, it's really like a thing. When the poof of cotton, like the fibrous stuff, you pull it out of that little jail of like harshness. And inside of it, it has all these seeds to it. So beforehand, you would have traditionally slaves, because we're in the Americas, and of course we have slaves. The slaves would sit there and separate the fiber from the seeds, and one person in an hour can do like 1.5 pounds. Is that very effective? No. So it's a very expensive crop to grow and to clean and to sort. Slavery was dying out in the 1820s. However, the cotton gin was created. The cotton gin looks like rotating hairbrushes. So what it does is it pulls the fibers apart into the hairbrushes, and the seeds fall to the bottom. So one person in an hour can do like 400 pounds of cotton. Separate 400 pounds. Does that make it more cost effective? So for the first time with the cotton gin, cotton is cheap enough to produce and is worth enough money that people are growing in a large way. Beforehand, the largest export coming out of the Americas was actually tobacco. Now, cotton is now effective. So you need to know it's now cheap enough to be mass produced. It's going to increase slave demands in the South. It's also going to make the United States an economic power. Why? Can England grow cotton? Nope, we have it homegrown right here. So England is going to start growing cotton in India and in Egypt. Okay. However, who is the largest producer of cotton in the world until the American Civil War? The United States. So we're going to become a world power. We're going to become influential on that. Okay, you need to know that Henry Ford creates the assembly line. Okay, now the assembly line is different from the factory system. So if my job is painting fire trucks red, at the beginning of my shift, I get a massive box of like woodblock fire trucks, and I sit there and paint them red. At the end of the day, I take my big box and I hand it to Bella, who's in charge of black paint, who's going to paint the top of it black and my tires black. She's going to do that whole box, and at the end of her shift, she's going to give it to Aiden, and Aiden's going to do whatever he does. Okay? That's how it works in the factory system. With an assembly line, okay, I get a product that's coming by slowly. I pick it up, I paint it red, I put it back down. Then Bella, who's standing right next to me, is going to immediately start painting it as it's going by. Then Aiden on the other side of her. So what is in continuum motion? The car. So there's no dead stop. Everything is in continual motion. And that is what transforms manufacturing. The assembly line transforms everything. You can watch like the Ford assembly line now, and it's insane the amount of things that they can do. Obviously today we have computers and stuff that are carrying lots of weight, but I mean they would have a car, a guy would have straps on and he would pull a car. That was his job. He would just walk the whole line. And he would walk at the same pace, and everyone else would walk with them to finish their stop, to finish their responsibility, then walk back to the start. So the cars are in constant motion as they're going through the assembly line. They never stop, and the people move to it, and it makes things much faster. Which is pretty cool.
I would hate to be the guy to go over.
I know, that'd be crazy.
Do they have to like start with the wheels?
Yes, you have to start with
They're
jazz.
never heavier too.
Yes. So glad you guys care. They may have used horses as well. Okay. You do need to know that big businesses are happening. Okay, so I'd write big businesses are shaping, which require antitrusts to destroy monopolies. Big businesses are building, which requires antitrusts to break up monopolies. I'm going to get you there in a second. Okay. Here in 2019 is actually kind of timely. The U.S. government is looking in to see if Amazon is a monopoly. That if they are controlling too much of the market and get to dictate too many prices. If it's found to be a monopoly, guess what? They have to break it up into different companies to allow more competition to happen, which means the beloved Amazon we have come to know and love may not be the same in a few years, if they find it to be a monopoly. When you look at the antitrust laws, antitrust are government laws that ensure there are competition in every market. Antitrust are government laws to make sure that there are competition in every market. Every couple of years, we always have a monopoly check on telephone companies. Cell phone companies, guess what they do? They just buy up each other. And then you always have one like rise to the top, like Bell. It used to be a really big one here in the late 90s. That has been disintegrated, and guess what build came out of it? Verizon has come out of it. Now Verizon is pretty much dominating the market in the next couple of years. There's going to be an antitrust meeting on Verizon. Is it too big? And if it is too big, guess what? They destroy it and allow what?
Didn't Verizon like break into something recently?
There you go. So they obviously had an antitrust. Sure, whatever. If they purchased them, then they're building towards a monopoly. If they broke apart because the U.S. government made them to, then that's one thing. Disney wanted to buy another massive studio a couple months ago, and the U.S. government said no. Like, you're not allowed to buy it because it would have made them the largest producer of television, movies, and all that stuff. and no, the closest company was like 400 billion short. So they said no to it. So it's actually pretty common. It does happen. The most famous monopoly is going to be by John D. Rockefeller. Are some of these names American familiar? Yes, J.D. Rockefeller is up there. J.D. Rockefeller had one of the first true monopolies that were broken up. It's called U.S. Oil, Standard Oil. U.S. Standard Oil. He owned 90% of all oil refineries in the United States. So if John D. Rockefeller woke up today, this Tuesday morning, was like, you know what, I want to increase gas prices 5%. Guess what happens? Every American is going to be feeling that. Is that a good thing or bad thing for regular people like that? Bad thing. By him manipulating his costs, he affects an entire economy. That's a very bad thing for American people, so we broke it up. The Rockefellers obviously have still done very well for themselves. You know your boy Anderson Cooper on CNN? The gray fox or silver fox? Yeah, he's a Rockefeller.
Yeah, he's Vanderbilt.
Is he a Vanderbilt? They're all mixed at this point. Is he a Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
Vanderbilts are the second in command of Standard Oil. Henry Flagler. You know, we have Flagler Museum right over here. Flagler College. Okay, they're also oil tycoons. Flagler College is built by the number 3 guy of Standard Oil. Okay, and then Plant over here is an oil dude too. What? They're steel. They're dealing with steel. All right. Now, here's a couple weird things. You're going to write demographic changes. You know how we were talking about in period 4 with the large exodus of millions of slaves being exported out of Africa, the population rises, and how that's a weird thing that could keep coming up? Yes? Do we remember this? Hello? There are statistics that are very strange that are be coming out that you have to know. First and foremost, you need to know that industrialization is going to cause a decline of fertility and morality. What does it mean by decline of fertility? What do we mean by that, Maggie? Women are having less children. So you're going to draw a line to fertility or something, however you want to do it, I don't care. Women are having less children by choice, parentheses, contraception. Okay? And they're less fertile overall. Why are women less fertile now in the Industrial Revolution than they were prior, Jesse? All the pollution. So you need to know that infertility was happening because of choice. 1, contraception, which we're going to get to. Second is going to be pollution. If you're breathing in toxic fumes, you're really not going to be able to carry a child. Mortality is what? Garrett? No, it's just death, man. You could die and still mortality. Okay? Now, mortality is going to decrease, which means people live longer. People live longer. Why? Because they have better diets. Now, if you grew up on a chicken farm, guess what you're eating all the time? Chicken. But are you getting anything else? No, because that's what your family can really provide.
Eggs.
You're on a corn, still chicken, friend. If you live on a corn farm, guess what you're eating all the time? Corn, which has no nutritional value. So now that people are living in cities and using cash to buy food, they have much more diverse. Goodbye. Mortality is declining. Like, people are living longer. Goodbye.
How far did you get?
I would have liked to do one more slide, but it's not horrible, especially for second period.